So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming to PIPL's annual advocacy bike ride, Cycling for a Cleaner Future closing ceremony. I would love if people would mute their microphones for now. Obviously, we would love to hear from you all later and so forth. But always just to keep the mixed audio down so it doesn't block out other people's sounds. If you feel comfortable, obviously feel free to keep your camera on. We always love seeing your faces and seeing your reactions. If you don't feel comfortable, especially because it's being recorded, that's totally understandable, but just then realize that you wouldn't appear on camera on the record. If you can also, if you know how, to change your name, try to put in your region, your first and last name, and your pronouns. I put an example there, despite the fact that I actually didn't follow that in my renaming just a moment ago. And then for the closing ceremony, as I said, it will be recorded. It'll probably be available to everybody.
Andrew just
Change your name.
rode his bike
About a week.
100 miles last 3 weeks.
150.
150 to raise money.
If we could have people mute real quick, sorry.
Oh.
There you go. So, as you all know, Pennsylvania Interfaith Power and Light inspires and mobilizes people of faith and conscience to take bold and just action on climate change. And we really appreciate all of the work that you guys have done over the last month to not only raise funds, but raise awareness. And both through our weekend of advocacy and the ride itself, really pushing the advocacy angle. And we also will be using this month to do future advocacy, which we will explain shortly. My name is David Hen Menendez. For all of you who have not actually met me either in person or on one of these calls yet, I am the Executive Director of Pennsylvania Interfaith Power and Light. And without further ado, Greg, please.
We wanted to open with a prayer. O Holy One, who comes to us with many faces and many names, we thank you for the astonishing world you have created, filled with resplendent beauty, awesome diversity, amazing complexity, all woven into an intricate web of mutuality. We are sorry for the ways in which, through ignorance, hubris, or greed, we have broken that web. We thank you for the ways you have taught us the paths of humility, given us scriptures of righteousness, and examples of how to care for the world you have created. We are sorry for losing our way, ignoring your wisdom, shunning our responsibilities. We thank you for creating humanity with beauty, diversity, and complexity to match the rest of your creation. We are sorry that we have forgotten our connectedness one to another. We repent the ways we have splintered our commonality. We grieve our brokenness. Open our eyes yet again to your loving care of all creation. Open our hearts to you and all creation. Breathe your strength into and through us to do the work of repentance, rescue, and repair as we return to being your hands for the completion of your creation according to your will. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Greg. And I forgot to mention, just for sake of posterity and for those of you on this call, that obviously this year we did this ride a little bit differently, and we're very happy with the results. These 6 regional rides seem to be fairly successful. And we've also learned some new lessons, thinking about the ways in which we might be able to incorporate hiking, walking, and biking into future rides. We also are thinking about ways in which to make the bike trip, the trip, more successful in the future and more accessible to more people. That's my son in the background. I'm sorry. You will definitely be hearing some giggles and things during this call. But one of the biggest, most important elements of this bike ride, obviously, is the advocacy component, as the entire intent of the bike ride is actually meant for that amplification. So with that, I will turn things over to Amani Reed.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amani Reed. I'm the Policy Engagement Manager for Pennsylvania Interfaith Power and Light in the Philadelphia area. I started in March. I hold a policy summary call every fourth Thursday of the month. And along with that, I've been working a lot with David on the advocacy portion of the bike trip to include a weekend of advocacy, which we had last weekend. So for anyone that was not able to attend, I'm going to briefly talk about that. And then I'm also going to talk about some upcoming ventures and events to include Bringing the Ride Home, summer advocacy opportunities. So as you can see on the left side of the screen, we had rider goals for this ride. And for community, that was building a community between cyclists and their sponsors, also engaging in advocacy, which I'm going to talk about, and generating support for overall support for Pennsylvania Interfaith Power and Light. So if you look on the right side of the screen, you'll see advocacy topics. These three topics are what we focused a lot of our advocacy on, to include our letter writing and what we wanted to speak to our representatives about. And there's information as far as reaching out to them on our bike trip website. And I'm going to read these topics. The first one was no new fossil fuel infrastructure. Topic 2, renewables in the future economy. And topic 3, improve human health, frontline communities, and planning for an equitable climate justice future. During our weekend of advocacy, we went more into detail on these topics as well as how they're relevant to the state. If anyone was not able to attend that, we do have a recording of the presentation to include the slides, which we can definitely share with you all. And along with talking about those topics, we were able to show videos from elected officials. We actually were not able to have any representatives that weekend due to scheduling conflicts, but we were able to have video submissions from Senator Art Haywood, Senator Sheriff Street, as well as state representatives Malcolm Kenyatta and Donna Bullock, and council member at large Derek Green. And we got really good feedback from the riders who were able to attend our weekend of advocacy. We also talked about writing letters. We're looking for people to write letters for us in the future with PAIPL and sending them to their local newspapers. So if you're interested, please let me know. And also calling your elected officials. So we gave contact information on that as well. And if you're interested, we have advocacy scripts where you can reach out to your representatives. We also talked a bit about tree planting. We worked with Mark Smith, and we were able to plant over 30 trees, I believe, in Mastery Pinkett area. And I'm sorry, David, the screen did cut off a bit, but I believe the other piece I wanted to talk about is our social media photos. We're actually looking for people like yourselves who can submit a photo with a hashtag that includes PAIPL and climate justice. So for example, hashtag climate justice PAIPL, hashtag climate justice is social justice, for example. So we are asking people to submit photos to us so that we can use them on behalf of PAIPL and future presentations, and also even to use them to show our local representatives in the future. And next, I want to talk about this summer advocacy opportunity. I'm actually, as part of my job and role with PAIPL, I'm trying to get us, you all more connected with your local representatives, no matter what region you're in. And as David explained, we had 6 regions for the ride. And starting in June, we're actually going to have an opportunity for you all to speak to your local representatives, depending on where you are. As you can see on the screen, we're starting with the Harrisburg area for June 6th. June 13th will be Lancaster, Pennsylvania. June 20th will be State College and Central PA. June 27th will be Scranton, Pennsylvania area. July 4th will be Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. And July 11th will be Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. And I actually reached out to representatives from each of these regions already. I've been able to receive some positive feedback so far, but I would like to share more of that information with you guys this upcoming week, especially if you would like to give any of your thoughts or feedback towards who I should be reaching out to. And I know during our weekend of advocacy, we were able to talk about these lobbying dates, and also during the policy summary call, which happened this past Thursday, we also had members of PAIPL who gave a lot of great feedback on who they think we should reach out to. So please, I'll drop my email in the chat if anyone's interested in, you know, speaking to anyone specifically that I might not have reached out to already. Thank you. Yes, July, the week, and not specifically, those dates were for the week. So those are not the specific dates that will be speaking to local representatives, but that will be it will be during that week. So the week of July 4th will be the Philadelphia area. I've actually asked, was aiming more for July 6th to 9th of that week, being that 4th of July is a holiday, you know, and representatives might be away during that time. So it'll definitely be later in the week for Philadelphia.
Yeah, the idea is more so to provide a target week for which we can try to lock down lobbying visits and advocacy activities and things like that, with a potential for having something earlier in the week where Amani can gather and meet with those that are interested in those regions, and then later in the week actually do the call and the conversation with the officials.
Yes, sorry, thank you. Yeah, we'll have a training as well prior.
Yeah, just so that we don't, like, we get our kind of scripts in the row, we go in as a united kind of entity and utilize the small amount of time that many of the officials will give us. That 20 to 30 minutes usually is what you get, is very valuable, and we want to, let me go back, and we want to make sure that we have the maximum impact during that period of time. But we also always want to remember to thank our wonderful sponsors for this bike trip. We actually have a new sponsor since the opening ceremony, Exact Solar. Exact Solar obviously is a solar company that has been in business since 2005, is a leading installer of residential and small commercial solar energy systems in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and the only company with extensive experience in solar photovoltaic, solar water heating, and solar pool heating systems. They're a family-owned business in particular that is based in Yardley, Pennsylvania. Just to give you a little bit more background for those of you who weren't on the opening ceremony, we also will go talk about our other sponsors a little bit. In particular, the Energy Co-op is a local to southeastern Pennsylvania and is a nonprofit. The Energy Co-op offers energy purchasing options in renewable electricity, renewable natural gas, and affordable home and heating oil in all of our homes in Pennsylvania. Lebanese is a local cafe and Mediterranean food store in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, that provides patrons with connection to nature through food and is very focused on healthy living and healthy food options. Epic Metals is certified at the silver level in the Southwest PA Sustainable Business and Business Compact. Epic Metals is committed to reducing its carbon footprint across its facilities. Windstacks Energy is a full-service developer of integrated renewable energy systems in Southwest Pennsylvania as well, and they make the largest vertical wind turbines in the United States. Pittsburgh's Friends Meeting Peace and Social Concerns is a group of people dedicated in Southwest Pennsylvania to working hard together to bring change to our world, and is led by one of our board members, Wanda Guthrie. Dunham Sports, which has several locations across Pennsylvania, is a sports provisions store. They are primarily located in Southwest and Central Pennsylvania, but they do also have stores reaching out to Philadelphia. They've actually provided us with 10% discounts off of purchases, which we will be mailing to you, all of you riders, very shortly. Weaver's Way Co-op, located in Mount Airy, Chestnut Hill, and Ambler, Pennsylvania, is a member-owned cooperative grocery, which brings friendly shopping environment and reasonable price, high-quality products that are local, sustainable, organic, fairly traded, and healthy. Then next are Chrome Level, the Sisters of Immaculate Heart of Mary in Scranton, are obviously a sisterhood. They are, sorry, my screen changed for a second. They strive to faithfully live in the path of Jesus as stewards of creation, and are very supportive of our work at IPL. Wesley Enhanced Living is a nonprofit continuing care retirement community. Sisters of St. Joseph in Baden, Pennsylvania, commit themselves and their energies and their resources to serving God as neighbors without distinction, and are very involved in creation care and the work that we do. Hashtag and MTR creates places that respond to history, traditions, and natural environment of the communities in which we work, with a philosophy that sustainable design is to conserve resources, promote human well-being, design for durability and efficiency. So thank you to all of our wonderful sponsors. They have made it possible for us to have a successful ride this year and to continue doing all of the work that we do. But the great announcement that I can give you today, that our outreach coordinator provided me earlier, Kathy Habrowski, is that with our 57 riders, our 12 organizations, and hundreds of individual sponsors, we have achieved our goal. We've actually passed it. We have raised $25,958, and I was just speaking with Nathan and Greg earlier that they have some money outstanding for us, and even as of an hour ago, we were still getting some donations online. So it's possible that this number may increase. And we also then received $500 in-kind donations for a total at the moment of $26,458. With that, I would like to turn it over to Ariel, who will lead us through the ride captain reflections.
Yeah, so this year, because we had several regions, we had several ride captains from these regions who really led groups and kept people motivated, helped out, maybe even, I know Nathan even helped out with some fundraising, like letter ideas, and organized rides for groups, because now people can actually get together safely outdoors. So we kind of, since not everybody got to ride together, we want to hear a little bit from the different ride captains, how the group's experiences were. So Rabbi Nathan, do you want to start?
Sure. Can everybody hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we had a lovely set. First of all, we had a nice group of almost 20 riders in the Philadelphia area who had signed up. So we had a really great group. Not everyone joined on every ride, but we organized 3 main rides: a eco beauty, an eco solutions ride, which was riding along the Schuylkill River Bicycle Trail, and thinking about sort of bicycling as a solution to climate change and reducing traditional transportation use and emissions. So that was really a lovely ride. We had an eco beauty ride on a restored trail called the Perkiomen Trail that used to be the Reading Railroad. And that was really, we had a beautiful day for it, and just a really scenic, lovely ride. And our third, and I wanted to thank Ariel and others from PAPL who did some of the research for these different routes. So it was very helpful to have that. And our third ride was an Eco Challenges ride. We rode through the community of Chester and Marcus Hook, which is down closer to the airport, about a 25-mile ride on a very hot day, where we looked at we rode through a major refinery complex, and Chester is a lower socioeconomic community, mostly 75% African American, who is bearing the brunt of environmental pollution from the refineries. So we actually got a chance to really think about what does environmental racism look like when you're on the ground, and do some reflection on that together. So I think the rides both built a lot of camaraderie and were really eye-opening, and it really built some nice energy among the group.
I think next was Melinda.
Thank you. Let me see. I have a little window that just came up. Would you like to unmute? Yes. Can everybody hear me? Because it's asking
Yes,
me to
you can.
unmute myself.
I can hear
Okay,
you.
so
Yes, yes.
thank you. We had a small group up here in Scranton, and if anyone was following, I know a couple people were reading blogs. I can't see who. I rode one of our trails that we had listed, the Eco Challenges Trail, the D&H trail that runs through the Scranton area 4 times, because each time I had a different collection of riders from my area, and no one had been riding for quite some time. So being a rail trail, it had a nice grade. But it was also lovely to be able to return to a place and get to know it each time a little bit differently. So I could bring people's attention to what I had seen last time, what I knew of the route. We had just beautiful conversations. What this particular route is, what's interesting about it as an eco challenge route is that we are on the way there to the trailhead. We pass one of the newest, the Invenergy natural gas power plant, which is fairly new to the region, the last 3 years built here by Invenergy, who is in fact more of a wind turbine company in other places of the country, but here they decided to try out their new natural gas power plant. As we pass it, which was a big issue around here, and it continues to be, we were on the way to the trailhead. You also then have the wind farm, the Weymart wind farm ahead of you, and that we will ride by. The natural gas pipeline then runs beneath the first nearly 10 miles of the trail there, and which is interesting because every so often I should say, maybe I'm a terrible, like, distance is not good unless I have the computer telling me how far I'm going. So maybe 100 yards or so, these yellow natural caution natural gas pipeline markers were up for about 10 miles. So you constantly are seeing them and reminding you that you are riding over the natural gas pipeline while you have the Weymart wind farm also popping up behind a little hill there and a ridge there, or an opening in the trees over there. And it just added to the complexity of our region. Not only that, in the same 10 miles, you are riding by lumps and old coal tailings lumps of just how the whole land had been just moved and pushed and pulled apart and reconstructed. On this are growing trees and animals are living there. But you are clearly riding through all of it. Not only that, the train itself, it was built, the train tracks you're riding on are built because in fact, if you can kind of imagine yourself back, none of those trees were there. Everything was denuded. Every hill was denuded. And from here to, I don't know, perhaps Philly, actually, it's just looking for a different way of fueling our communities because the wood was disappearing. So it's just an interesting ride each one of these times we went through. Not only that, it goes on because it's just beautiful here too. The wildlife that we saw, the birds, and the girls and myself and Donna Corbo was on another ride. My husband and accompanying us on another ride. The deer and the groundhogs, and it was just lovely to go there. The first part of this region was also at the Eels Preserve. The bike ride this month started during the month of Ramadan. Coming off of Ramadan into the bike ride, it took a couple of days to get my energy back, so I was hiking through there, and again looking at this view of Northeast Pennsylvania, and just looking at it and being present to it, and its human ecology, its warpedness, as I was just explaining, and just pondering what to do, and the potential there in the valley with all these human beings who have the power of decision making ahead of them, what we can do, and where that potential may lead us, and how it will manifest in the future is really dependent on what all of you are doing right now and spending your energy on. So I'll wrap it up in my reflection. Just that it was lovely also to read all of your own blogs, and I am happy, along with my team here in Scranton, to be among you in this ride. All right, thank you. I think I'll stop there.
Thank you so much. Carla, we had put you down as well because you had your own team in Central Pennsylvania. Would you like to give a few words?
Sure. I only had my team very small because I was inviting a few friends who I knew would be willing to ride at my slow speed. And I reached out to a handful of people, and I got 3 women who agreed. Unfortunately, with various scheduling, we only got one trip together, all 4 of us, but we had subsets ride. The day we all rode together, we rode on the Lauer Trail, and we were able to meet up with Greg Williams for part of that. So we learned a lot about the work that he and others were doing there to remove invasive species and plant native species. And hopefully that will lead to some new things, because one of the women in my group, Alicia Anderson, is the Lutheran campus minister here at Penn State. And I know she was thinking about reaching out to Greg to see if they could use that as a service project for students in the future. And one of the other women in my group, Deidre Bauer, is currently serving on an interim basis as the principal at Radio Park Elementary School. And I think she was planning on reaching out to Greg to see about getting, I don't know, like a assembly or something, perhaps with the grade school students. So maybe the new things will come of that. Unfortunately, like I said, we had trouble getting schedules together. And then I stupidly wrecked on my bike during that ride and broke my finger. So riding was out of the question for me after that. So I was really glad that you counted foot miles, because the majority of my miles got put through on my feet. And last weekend I went backpacking with a group of women in the Kahana Wilds area. 2 of the other people on that trip also are riding for this. So it's amazing how much interconnection there is. But that was a beautiful, beautiful area as well, where we saw beaver dams. And although we saw no elk, we saw lots of elk scat. So we know they are there. But yeah, it was just a great opportunity to be outside and enjoy the beautiful forested areas of central Pennsylvania, and just see how blessed we are with the wonderful resources we have here. If you look at the blogs, I know Alicia put some up. One of the rides she did on her own took her past the big solar array that Penn State has recently put on the edge of campus. So I know she has a picture of that. So it was a great opportunity to do that. And as I said, I'm glad that you did include foot miles, or I wouldn't have made my 100. So, but all in all, it was a great experience. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. You're actually the second person to be injured for this, because Dee Katurka, one of our board members, also got hurt right before the ride. So she did many of her miles on foot as well.
I feel like breaking your finger on the ride should get you like bonus miles or something.
Yeah. You can count a few extra miles.
No, because what I did was so incredibly stupid. We were so anxious to get ice cream on the Lauer Trail that I was focused on the ice cream store and failed to notice the set of poles I needed to ride my bike through. You know, those little gates that they have, the little yellow poles. And when I saw it, I don't know, I think I panicked and I didn't brake and I ran right into the pole. Stupid thing to do.
Did you still get the ice cream after?
I did.
There you go, yeah. I know Pam Costi is not here, but Dilip, would you like to speak on behalf of your group?
So we had a smaller goal this year, which is to raise money and force most of our environmental group at Mainline Unitarian Church to give money. And so we did exceed our goal. We were looking at $750. I think we raised more than $1,000 or $1,100. We did all the trails that Pam and Anders, those were the 2 other members on our team, was 3 people. And on the 3rd ride, I ran into a bollard, went over my head and hit my scraped my nose and all that. So I've been telling people that I did a 3 to 5G crash test and I survived and I'm good for 10 more years. So that's what we ended up doing. And then I was short 18 miles, so I did that on foot. So I ended up doing that as well. And that's about all I have to say.
Yeah, thank you so
And-
much.
The three of you did an amazing job. I'm sorry to hear you got injured as well, but the three of you did an amazing job. So thank
Yeah,
you.
Pam wrote fairly good blogs.
Yeah, I mean, I was unaware of all of the injuries. I hope that other people don't tell me stories of injuries as well. But I mean, I really appreciate you getting out there and doing this. Obviously, we just wanted to open up the floor for anybody else that wanted to, reflect or tell us. Hopefully, not an injury story, but maybe something else that they saw or either were inspired by, or like as Nathan and Melinda said, like the stark contrast sometimes along these rides. That's why we chose some of these paths as well. Like we wanted to make sure that people could really see the kind of different facets of Pennsylvania that exist. Would anybody be moved to speak? I'll leave the floor open for a minute.
The Pittsburgh group didn't get together as a group, despite Kathy's best efforts to organize a couple of very interesting sounding events, but everyone's schedules just prohibited it. But we had exchanged some emails and heard some good reports of rides along the Gap area and seeing the industrial waste in parts of that. Pittsburgh's got a huge industrial heritage, of course. My own rides, I was on some family vacations in Ohio and I got to see their huge, great network. I rode on Route 50 of Ohio Bikeway. They've got so many bikeways, they number them like highways. It's just old train areas. The other thing I mostly observed was also in the nature of invasive plants. Our meeting is putting in a pollinator garden, so we're trying to take out some of the invasive plants. It turns out bush honeysuckle is something they planted back in the day. So now we're trying to eradicate it. And I've been personally going after garlic mustard. And those two plants were the dominant plant in all of my rides in Ohio and Pennsylvania. You just see them all over the place in every single woodland, except I did a weekend at Presque Isle and I did a ride around the Presque Isle State Park and saw a sign where those invasive plants were identified, and I didn't see any of them. So I don't know what they're doing up there, but so far it's working.
Yeah, the mustard weed is something really, really pervasive in Lewisburg, and the problem with it is even if you pull it, if you don't bag it or remove it, it will still go to seed and then just reimplant itself, and then you're dealing with it again very shortly.
Right, enormous roots and thousands of seeds.
Yeah.
It blooms earlier than the competing plants, so it just takes over.
Here in Lancaster, something that struck me was a lot of the tree lawns or like traffic islands have been made into rain reservoirs and natural pollinator gardens, which I was trying to think, like, do we have space for that in Lewisburg? And I really hope that we do, because I would much rather have as many of those as possible than just little strips of grass that no one wants. But we also have a lot of restrictions on height of growth in tree lawns. So I think we might have to change ordinances if there's a natural pollinator garden or something along those lines. Would anybody else like to give a story or reflection? Anything else? Okay. Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, the third group ride I had to miss because I had a pre-planned trip to St. Michael's, and I was feeling was missing it. So that around the same time on that Saturday afternoon during the third group ride, I did a close to a 20-mile ride, which was lovely because it's nice and flat like the Schuylkill River Trail. And I'm telling you, when I ride in Philadelphia, whether it's out here in the suburbs or in the city, I'm constantly feeling defensive, like watch out. And of course, it's a little less traveled there, but they have bike lanes on either side of the road, the same size as a car lane there. And I was like, this is the way it ought to be. That was really nice. And I really got a chance to sort of observe some differences in the scenery and noticing some difference in the tree growth and all the loblolly pine that I wasn't aware of there. So that was really interesting. And I was trying to do some writing. I didn't get to enter a blog, but Maryland has been in the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative since 2007. And so they're one of the 11 states that's already in. As a lot of people know, Philadelphia or Pennsylvania is facing expected resistance to joining. So anyways, that was just something that was interesting for me in writing down there.
Yeah, thank you. So I actually have something special for you guys that I did. So hold on one second as I share screen again. You may recognize yourself. I just wanted to say thank you, obviously, to everybody that was a participant, everybody that got out there and raised funds for us. And yeah, I just want you to get a chance to see kind of the bigger picture that Ariel and myself and Kathy have been seeing for the last few months. Again, thank you so much. That last image was Rabbi Nathan's daughter with the hashtag sign that we had described earlier. I don't know if I can isolate it, but let me see if I can. Very end. There you go. So hashtag climate justice, cycling for a cleaner future for all. That's exactly the type of thing that we're looking for. So if you want to appear in the picture, if you don't want to appear in the picture, but we're literally just looking for a handwritten sign that says hashtag climate justice for the IPL or hashtag climate justice is social justice. Sorry. So with that, I just want to thank all of you one last time and lead us in a final prayer. So Nathan and Melinda, I believe, have agreed to read this with me. So I will go first, and then perhaps Nathan, and then Melinda, okay?
Sure.
We hold the earth.
We hold brothers and sisters who suffer from storms and droughts intensified by climate change.
We hold all species that suffer.
We hold world leaders delegated to make decisions for life. We pray that the web of life may be mended through courageous action to limit carbon emissions.
We pray for right actions for adaptation and mitigation to help our already suffering Earth community.
We pray that love and wisdom might inspire my actions and our actions as communities, so that we may, with integrity, look into the eyes of brothers and sisters and all beings and truthfully say, we are doing our part to care for them and the future of the children.
May love transform us and our world with new steps towards life. Really, I am sincere in the thanks that I have for all of you. I know it's hard to take the time. I wanted to do the ride and I couldn't make it happen. I really hope next year to do it. I really hope next year to actually ride all 6 regions. I think that would be fantastic. I know that may not be possible for everybody, but it's like a month of my life that I would love to be able to see some of these parts of Pennsylvania that I haven't visited. Like, I barely have been to Pittsburgh ever, and it would be fantastic to see more of it. And I would get to meet all of you wonderful people in person for perhaps the first time. So with that, thank you again. Blessings to all, and really, really all of our appreciation for all that you've done for us and for climate justice in Pennsylvania.
And thank you, David and Ariel, Kathy who's not here, and just the whole Amani, all the people who worked so hard on this ride to make it happen. And of course, all of the riders as well. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.